Hello, my name is Mike Bullock. I live in West Chicago, and I'm a solar ambassador with the Illinois Solar Education Association. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story with going solar. My story really starts when I was a kid. I really didn't think much about energy until we had the energy crisis, and then I started asking my parents where energy comes from. I found that pretty interesting. When I was in eighth grade, I did my science project on alternate energy sources, and I learned about all the different types of energy that could be used. And I thought solar was the best and the one that made sense. It was quite a while before I could look at putting it on my house. Part of the reason is because I always thought that it had to be on a west-facing roof. Well, in 2009, I went on my first solar tour with the Illinois Solar Education Association, and I learned a lot. And I talked to people that had gone solar. And so now is time to look in more detail and convince my wife it was the right thing to do. So I went on the tour in 2010 as well. And that's what made me make the decision I'm going to do it. And so in 2011, we installed the first part of our current array. It was a little over 4 kilowatts. We had 17 modules, 240 watt modules. And my system uses microinverters. And so with that system, it converts the DC electricity that the modules generate into AC electricity on the roof. And then it goes down into my house. I'll show you that in a little bit. Liked it so much that in 2015, we added to it and filled the roof with solar as much as we could. So we had 10.8 kilowatts in total. And we had little larger modules, in this case, 280 watt, also with in-phase microinverters. And so here's the other components of the system. So from the top of the roof, conduit comes down and goes into this box here. And in this box, there are actually 3 branch circuits. So there's a circuit breaker in here. I could turn any of those branch circuits off if I would like to. There's also a PV disconnect. So if first responders needed to, they could disconnect my system. My neighbors could as well. Anybody could. So the energy comes down here. It's all AC. It goes into my house right here. In my basement is my circuit breaker panel here. So it goes down and it comes into the bottom here. There's a 50 amp circuit breaker. And so it comes in here, and then it goes up the bus, and if there's any demand, it goes and fills that demand in my house. Otherwise, if there's more energy produced than I need, it goes out this circuit breaker, and it goes through that meter, and it goes to my neighbors. So that's a little bit about how this works and the components of the system. Now, what about financials? Does it make sense financially? When I look at this, solar to me makes a lot of financial sense. It's the only thing that is going to increase the value of your home, but won't raise your taxes. It saves you money. And the fourth thing is a bonus because on a sunny day, it just brings you joy and happiness. So anyway, it's a great financial investment. When I look at it a long-term return on investment. So I look at net present value or internal rate of return, and I look at the risk. So the risk, it's pretty low risk because it's very predictable, the performance of these systems. So I was looking for, hey, can it give me a better return than say 2%, 2 to 3%? And when I calculated this out, it was going to give me an internal rate of return of 8%. That's a great financial investment. And if I look at the 2015 array, it was even better. The long-term return on that was 12.4%. This, to me, is a great financial investment. And again, one of the reasons I did this was to be a better steward of the environment. So I calculated how much CO2 I was going to save. And so before we got our electricity, the amount of carbon dioxide we were putting into the air would have filled 68.85 semi-trailers. And so as part of a long-term plan to reduce electricity usage, we wanted to also get it from solar. So we've saved a lot of tons of CO2 so far. filling more than well over 214 semi-trailers. All right, now I want to show you some of the things you can see with your system. As I mentioned before, I have a microinverter system. So it converts AC to AC on my roof from DC. This is what my array looks like. And you can see how much energy each of these modules is producing at any given moment. So I'm going to hit play here, and you're going to see this is the last few days of production. You can see some variation based on clouds. It's been pretty good the last week. So I'm going to hit play here, and you're going to see how it produces throughout the day. And I don't know if you recall, but I have a chimney on my roof. I have some vents. I have a satellite dish on my roof. All of these create some shade. And you'll see as I go through, I've got it kind of on slow mode. Maybe too slow. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So you can see the shade change as it goes through the day. So now it's nice and sunny. You can see it at the end of the day, and now it's nighttime. And then here we have the next day, and you can see, should be able to see some shade. This was maybe a little more cloudy day, maybe not the best day to show, but the next day will show you that. So you can see the energy produced today. You can see in the past 7 days, the past month, and there's a lot of information you can get. This might be a good one to see. You see that shade as it moves throughout the day, and now the sun is on it. And I'm going to go here because today you can really see it nicely. Actually, I'm going to go back here and slow it down because I think on this particular day, it looks pretty good. So again, I face west, so the sun comes up in the east, and you can see the shade here. I have a chimney right here, and there's a little vent here that's creating shade here. And so it changes throughout the day. I'm still getting shade on 2 of the modules today. You can look at that way. You can look at what it's done through the month. There's a lot of different things you can do to look at the energy. Again, it's very predictable. So it provides a lot of nice data. I also want to show you, it's an E-gauge. You can look, I want to show you kind of how the energy is used throughout the day. So the area in red is where I am using energy from the grid. Then you can see here we have the day, nice day of sun. And the white area, this is the energy that is produced that I use. And then the rest of it is energy that's going to my neighbors. So the way this works for most people is we have a thing called net metering, where your utility will keep track of what you send to the utility and what you use yourself. And they'll keep track of that. And then once a year, if you have excess, they'll actually zero it out. So it's kind of like a bank account, and they keep track of it. Now I'm on hourly pricing, so it's a little bit different. I was on net metering for a few years, and now I'm on hourly pricing. So it's a little bit different. I'm not going to go in that today. But what most people are on is net metering. And it's a really nice thing because during the day, this is going to your neighbors and they keep track of it. And then you can basically use it at night. All right, so that's a little bit about my system. I think the Illinois Solar Education Association has a website that is an awesome resource. For me, we recommend that you look at maybe 3 different installers because they're going to have different approaches. Like I have microinverters, and a lot of them are using different approaches. So give different perspectives. You'll get an idea of different pricing. So you can find that on the Illinois Solar Education site. There's a lot of great information there about incentives and those kind of things. So check out that site. Here's a little bit more information about that site. This is the main site. And to find an installer near you, you can click on this one right here. And best of luck. It's a great investment, and you won't regret it, and you'll get more joy and happiness in your life.